This is Mr. Irrelevant here, streaming live on YouTube at ESPN Milwaukee, at ESPN Madison. I am not Alex Strouf, as you guys can obviously tell, because we look absolutely nothing alike. I'm Tony Cartagena, subbing in for the day. Hunter Vaughn with me as he kind of runs the show for Mr. Irrelevant with Strouf every Monday, Wednesday, Friday here on YouTube, as I said, at ESPN Milwaukee, at ESPN Madison. Joshy DiMaggio here as well in the ESPN Milwaukee studios holding it down. And I got to tell you, fellas, right off the bat, when Strouf came up to me and he said, hey, I'm going to be gone. You think you can sub in on Friday? I thought he messed up. You never want to show. I'm not the backup. I'm probably like the backup's backup. But, like, this show is about to be different. Strouf is not getting his spot back. He's about to get cut from the team as soon as, so all you Alex Strouf fans out there, I'm just letting you guys know now, this show, you might not see him again. We're going to change the name immediately. Because, Hunter, I got a question about that.
Yeah.
Did you start Mr. Irrelevant with Alex Strouf?
Yeah, I've been on it day one. So
whose bright idea was let's name a show to basically tell everyone that I'm not important?
So it was a play off of the whole draft pick thing, because as lineups were changing around ESPN Wisconsin, Strouf was kind of the last pick, and it was like, well, we'll give you this digital show, and we're like, okay, you're Mr. Irrelevant, you're the last pick, and we just stuck with it, and now we can't move off of it.
Gotcha.
Like, it's our thing. It's been a year, so we're just the losers that got picked last.
All right, I guess there's got to be one of those in every group. As I said, this is Mr. Irrelevant. Strouf is out today, so I'm Tony Cartagena subbing in. We're going to talk about a ton of fun stuff. We got a lot of Packers to get to. They play the Ravens tomorrow at noon in the final preseason game. I don't know who we're going to see on the field. I don't know if anyone knows who we're going to see on the field. And then we also are going to talk about some crushes, because I recently have a new crush. We'll get to that soon. Jason Wilde, who's like the world's nicest person, but I feel like he might be a very tough grader. We'll talk about that on today's show. And then everyone out there, I'm looking you right in the camera. I am a Milwaukee Brewers fan, a huge Milwaukee Brewers fan, and I'm scared. I know that sounds terrible, but I am scared, and I'll tell you why later on in the show, because it's not a good feeling right now. I checked the standings. I know it's a 10-game lead. I checked the standings. I start sweating. I'm a sweaty guy. Not great. So we'll get to that. We're going to talk Packers basically throughout this show. Myself, Hunter Vaughn, Josh DiMaggio, here on Mr. Irrelevant, subbing in for Alex Strouf. So let's get right to it. I was listening to Jen, Gabe, and Chewy this morning, which you can hear on ESPN Milwaukee from 7 to 9 every day, and it's produced by Josh DiMaggio, the aforementioned GKB superstar over there. And Jason Wilde, our Packers All Knowledge Everything guy, joins that show a couple times a week. And Mark Chmura had a question for him regarding quarterback Jordan Love's training camp performance. Take a listen.
One quick one, Jason. Give me a grade on Jordan Love.
Yeah, look, he was kind of – they all keep downplaying the fact that the defense got the better of them for so much of camp. So I guess I'd give him like a B. But, look, as I said to Jordan yesterday, you guys did a hell of a lot of push-ups this camp. And his argument is how they're not game planning and whatever else. But I still –
well, neither is the defense.
Right. You're preaching to the choir, buddy. But, again, they all say this, and my favorite was Jaden Reed, who has a really great personality. And, you know, I've got to know him a little bit, but he was giving me all kinds of grief for being a worrywart about this offense. And come on, we got Jay Love, we've got Wicks, and I mean, he just ran down the depth chart like I was some sort of idiot. And again, we'll see 2 weeks from today if when they're game planning for the Eagles offense, if we're giving Jordan Love an A grade and they're going out there and putting it on him in Brazil.
So Jason Wilde's grade for Jordan Love in training camp thus far was like a B, which to me, I said earlier that I think Jason was a tough grader. I completely changed that. I think he might be the world's nicest grader. I might have been further in life if Jason Wilde was my teacher, because like a B to me sounds like he maybe wanted to grade him a little bit lower, but he didn't do it. I don't know if it's fear of backlash or if he really wasn't just sure. Maybe it's closer to a B minus. But like a B as a grade, to me, sounds like Jason Wilde wanted to really grade him a C. I know C's get degrees, and a C is average, but a C or a B is not the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. Hunter, when you heard that audio from Jason Wilde, when you tracked that down, or you just think about training camp in general, and you hear the highest paid quarterback in the league who missed a little bit of camp right off the bat was like a B, what comes to mind?
Well, as someone who, when I was a student, had a lot of that reaction from my teachers and professors of like, well, I guess it's like a B for that assignment. Like, that's not a good spot to be in, especially once you're at this point in your career for Jordan Love. Like, you mentioned it, getting paid that much, your expectations for how he should be practicing should be A+ every time. Like I've said on this show that you need to, if you're Jordan Love, the bar is now set at you have to will this team into the playoffs every single year. That's it. You get into the playoffs, weird stuff happens, then it's just whatever happens is going to happen. But he needs to be getting this team into the playoffs. A guy that's going into the third preseason game, I guess I'd give him a B, is telling me that that's not a quarterback that can will this team into the playoffs. And it's a little concerning.
You're more harsh than Wilde.
If you're saying, I guess he's average, like that's the way that Packer fans talk about Dak. I'm a Cowboys fan, and that's how I talk about Dak Prescott. Like, I guess he's average.
But here's the thing.
He doesn't elevate anybody.
Here's what needs to happen. Jake Ferguson would like a word with that sentence there. Either way, the thing that fans freak out about is I fully 100% believe, and I know the Packers are a team of the people and we have open practice and we're owned by the city, which is complete nonsense, whatever. They need to stop allowing people to tweet things during practice. They need to stop allowing people to have updates during things like that. Because at the end of the day, everyone's like, oh, it was a B. Last year it was Jordan Love can't play football, all of this stuff. I think people forget what practice is, and it's practice. Like, you're legitimately working on things. If we want Jordan Love to look great, Matt LaFleur would go out there against the Broncos and against the Ravens and against the number one defense of the Packers and run the same set that he knows that he can complete a 13-yard pass over the middle in. Like, I honestly do think fans forget often that practice is where you get better. So if someone is just tearing it up in practice, maybe we should switch it up a little bit so we can work on some things that they're not so great at. So if someone gets a B grade, even a C grade in practice, but you know that they still have a good understanding of the playbook, you know that all the intangibles are there, it doesn't bother me at all. The only place it bothers me is with the kickers. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show, too. Brad Nortman, who kicked, almost the same thing, in the Super Bowl, is going to join us because he knows a thing or two about specialists, and that's the only place it bothers me where, all right, they weren't that good. Like, you do the same thing every time. Be good in practice. But when I hear, oh, Jordan Love wasn't this, Jordan Love wasn't that, like, the people who wrote that check always follow the money, right? The people who negotiated that contract from the Packers side of things, they know what Jordan Love is capable of. They know what the expectations of him are, and they know where his potential is. So when I hear things like, oh, he's a B in practice, that's cool. If we came out and he was an A+ in practice all day long, someone would be like, oh, well, your defense sucks. Like, there's no win from any of these things. Joshy, what you got for me?
I find it interesting you mentioned that last year there was no wow throws. That was a big conversation about Jordan Love.
Yeah.
And Jordan Love, I think we are having a problem as Packers fans. Aaron Rodgers is otherworldly. He's like superhuman at the quarterback position. But not all quarterbacks look like that or, have pinpoint accuracy. How many times did we see Jordan Love make like improbable throws where he seems to elevate himself in moments where it matters, where he like becomes something other than the guy you see like miss a check down here and there? Like, it seems to me that Jordan Love has the ability to rise to the occasion and like make incredible game-altering throws when he really needs it.
100%. There was, and the Dallas game, I think, is pretty reflective of that. He had some big throws against San Francisco, but he also missed Aaron Jones on a 3rd and 2 that probably would have ran a lot more clock and would have helped win the game. But like, those things happen, right? Like, right. I think people look at that. I just don't get this we can go behind the curtains. Josh sees this on a daily basis. Hunter, I'm sure you've been on some emails. This is why I'm considered not good at sports radio. It's because I'm never going to get super hot or super cold on one thing. Jordan Love has a bad practice. Cool, that happened. Jordan Love has a great practice. Cool, that's also going to happen, but it's going to be somewhere in the middle. And anytime you see a team as cheap as the Packers have been historically shell out the cash that they did for Jordan, like, you know, he's going to be somewhere where they think he is going to elevate the team and he's going to put everyone in a really good spot. So I think a B grade is great, man. If I got more B's in college, like I'm saying, Jason Wilde, it's not a bad grade. It would have been great for me. I just think this is one of those things where don't get too high, don't get too low, and also don't freak out after week 1, 2, or 3. We learned the lesson last year. After week 1 last year, all these Packer fans thought the Bears suck, which they do, but that Jordan Love was going to be the greatest thing cooking for the next 16 weeks. And then I think promptly the week after against Atlanta, they struggled overall as a team. And then they started off the season, 2-5? Hunter, were they 2-5 last year at one point?
Yeah,
they were bad.
Yeah, it was bad. But I think the thing that we're also forgetting with this is that last year, Jordan Love might have been missing throws in practice, and Jason Wilde was going on shows saying that, yeah, he wasn't great in practice, but everyone's talking about his leadership. Everyone's talking about the way he commands the huddle. Jason didn't follow it up with anything about, like, the other great things he's doing, which is part of where I think it's concerning. Like, Jason's the type of guy that he's going to try and compliment things. And he didn't do that.
To be fair, he only had a little bit of time left. If you gave Jason a full clock, he would have complimented Jordan Love for sure.
I've also produced shows where we've gone
Jason's
long.
Grade is good.
Like,
no show in the history of ESPN Wisconsin has ever gone over the clock. Hunter, what are you talking about?
No, with the clock rules everything. We've never manipulated that at all. Yeah, like that's my point though. Is like he would have made a point.
Do radio. Go ahead. Sorry, I'm getting used to this new show.
No, it's just he would have made a point to say something, I think. And I could be completely wrong with it, and this could get brought up to Jason, and he's going to be like, no, Hunter's totally wrong. He tells me I'm wrong all the time, so it's fine. But, like, from seeing him on enough of our shows, he would have, I feel like, said something else, because that was happening last year.
So your level of concern, and we're going to get to Brad Nortman here in a second, your level of concern is more so that Wilde didn't have anything complimentary to say, like, about his leadership, command of the huddle. Like, do you think that's, like, declined?
I don't think that's declined, but I think there would have been something about like, oh, well, he is trying this different thing, and that's part of why he hasn't looked good. Like, there would have been a little bit different context to it. Last year, the context was, well, he's really great with this team. He's leading this team. He's commanding things really well. He's working with these young receivers to get better. And I feel like Jason would have followed this up if there was something else going on of like, well, he's really trying to work on, back shoulder fades to Dontavion Wicks, or he's trying to work on the timing on the slants with Bo Melton or something like that, and that's why things haven't looked great. So that's where I'm just like, it just is a little worrying, and I keep saying it on here. I'm worried about this team going up against a team they're going to be fighting for a playoff spot with and for seeding week 1. This could really, a week 1 game could really come back to hurt the Packers if they don't play well, and I'm worried they're not going to play well.
No. See, that's where I would disagree on that one respectfully, unlike the things you just said about Jason Wilde's incomplete reporting. Let's get that on Twitter. Hunter Vaughn says Jason Wilde provides incomplete report.
No, that is not,
Love.
that's not what I was saying about Jason.
Kidding.
Come on.
I know. I like week 1 to me, like, it doesn't matter, to be completely honest. I know it could come back when it comes to playoff seeding, and it kind of just is what it is, but like, the concern for the Packers for me this year is much less to do with week 1 and way more to do when they're in a close game against the Detroit Lions on Thanksgiving, or I don't know when they actually play Detroit, but when they're in a close game with the Lions and then they need to like close it out and then things go poorly there. That's where my area of concern could possibly be with Green Bay. We're going to bring in someone. We're gonna do some live radio on the fly here. Brad, can you actually move to that chair? It was my job to tell you when you walked in to sit in that chair, and I blanked on that, so that one's on me. B-level performance from me right there. Jason Wilde would grade me like a B for today's show. But I want to get to a couple things. Brad Nortman, who kicked at the University of Wisconsin, Here is a Brookfield Central legend, allegedly, and also kicked in the Super Bowl with the Carolina Panthers, joins us now. I'm not saying the name of the show. I feel like it's a little insulting, Mr. Irrelevant. I don't really like that. So,
you're not irrelevant. You are as relevant as they come to.
It's the Brad Nortman and TC hour.
That's
Let's go.
right.
What up, Brad? How's it going?
Good to be here. How's the show going so far?
I think it's like a B. I think it's like a B, pretty much. That's in case you missed it. That's what Jason Wilde graded Jordan Love's training camp performance. He said, kind of like a B.
A B. How are you satisfied with that?
Oh, me, the student, absolutely. Me, the Packers fan, yeah. Room to grow. Real quick for you, one of my thoughts on this is that from experience, like in practice, you just try different things. Like for me, like from a basketball perspective, like in basketball practice, maybe I would try a different move with my left hand or do things. But now when you can like be watching every single play, if you're a media outlet or a reporter, I feel as if the team works to get better in practice. It's not always going to look like a game of Madden. It's not always going to look like when you're beating up on the worst team in the NFL. So to me, a B sounds pretty good.
Well, and it depends on where your game is at, because if you're LeBron James, you're going to be trying all sorts of things because the foundation of your game is completely sound. You know you can fall back on certain things. So for Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur, that really is the next iteration of their relationship and this offense is, can you do things that, I don't want to put Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid type expectations on them, but if they feel like, hey, the elementary principles of the offense are good to go, we feel comfortable with them, we know we can go execute any game plan, so let's try some things. Let's make ourselves uncomfortable.
Okay.
I'm okay with that. So I feel like they're at that stage. Everything that Jordan Love did last year, and even though we got a little bit of a slower start, I feel like they're at that point where they can take those next steps.
So you're the host of KBN, ESPN Wisconsin, 2 to 5, 2 to 4 in Milwaukee, or 2 to 4 in Madison, excuse me. And you guys have been following Packers training camp as close as anybody. And I wanted to do on today's show here, I have a new crush in my life. I wanted to tell everyone about. I'm very excited.
Okay.
His name is Evan Williams. And he's on the defensive backfield for the Green Bay Packers. Everything I have read or seen or heard about this guy is incredible. And there's a little bit of a story here. Is day one of training camp, KBN is out there, right? You guys are doing your thing at camp. I'm with Ben and Ben Brust at KBN, and we're where the bikes are taking off. Dude hops on the bike wearing number 33. Of course, Ben makes a comment. Like, because why wouldn't Ben make a comment, right? And Ben just goes, Aaron Jones.
Oh my gosh.
Have you not heard this before?
No.
Oh man. So all right. So behind the scenes, so we're there. There's a group of people, mostly children, all behaving themselves, and then it's Ben and I, and he's trying to track down Matt LaFleur. But we see dude. I had no idea who he was. I know he's a draft pick this year. But yeah, I see light-skinned dude walk out, hop on a bike. I'm like, all right, who's this? I thought he was a running back because he's wearing 33.
Yeah.
And Ben goes, Aaron Jones. And Evan Williams looks at both of us. I thought he was going to be pissed. He looks at us and goes, 2.0, baby.
Oh,
and
that's so good.
It was so smooth.
Wow.
Like, when I say, like, there was, as the kids would say, there was some riz with that.
Yeah.
Like, bro, it was smooth.
That is savvy. That is a savvy dude right there.
So he says this back at I'm going to say he said it to Ben. It was to both of us. He made us both look like we were foolish.
Yeah.
Whatever. It was hilarious. Awesome moment. Then I learned he's got 5 picks in camp. He's a ball hawk. He's being compared to Micah Hyde, which might not be like the sexiest Ed Reed name in the world, but let me tell you, we get Micah Hyde back in the Packers, I'm good.
I will take a next version of Micah Hyde. That sounds amazing.
A ball player, right?
Yeah.
So like, he's my camp crush. He just is. It is what it is. I'm sure teams have these guys all the time, and I know they call him like all Oneida in Green Bay. But from everything Brad has heard or seen, who's your camp crush this year?
Oh, camp crush.
It can't be Jordan Love. It also can't be Daniel Whalen. All right, buddy?
Come on.
It cannot
be Daniel Whalen.
No, because Daniel Whalen. Like, we already know what he's about.
Yeah, that's fair.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot. You can
that's okay, and I can see why Evan Williams is a camp crush. What that says to me, that story, really quick, is a high level of comfort, which you can't necessarily project that.
This was day one.
Day one.
Yeah.
If you are comfortable enough to interact with the fans and take ownership of it and make it very savvy, Riz.
It was dope. That's honestly, it was so smooth, and it gave me like, all right, he wants people to know he's here to play.
Yeah, and so to me, that's something that's really hard to project in the draft process. So that's why Goody, I think, when there's a position in need, let's just fire a bunch of guys we like at it and see how they respond. You got Bullard, you got Williams. I can't wait to see how they all progress together. I'm even seeing that they're trying to figure out ways, how can we get 3 of these guys in the field together? That is a great problem to have.
Can you do that? Can you get 3 safeties out there?
You'd have to maybe in the dime package, and you have someone play in the slot. So it depends on what their capabilities are. For me, my camp crush, look, I liked him last year, and with A.J. Dillon going down, with Marshawn Lloyd going down, I was so excited to see Marshawn Lloyd. Man, Emmanuel Wilson, the dude just runs hard. Like, I appreciate a guy that has an endless motor, that runs hard. It feels like whenever he has that opportunity to make a play, even filling in a couple games last year, but these preseason games, I just appreciate a hard runner, and he just feels like the kind of guy that is just like, yes, sir, whatever you need. You want me to fill the hole and block on a linebacker? I'll fill that hole. You want me to tote the rock and take on a couple hits? I'll do that. So Emmanuel Wilson, I know he's been a guy that maybe Packer fans know for a little bit. I just feel like whenever he totes the rock, I get excited. About
Yeah,
Emmanuel
I would like
Wilson.
to see him break through, make a couple plays, do some stuff this season. So that'll be super interesting to see. The reason I wanted to have you on is because I think you and I may be the only people in this office that have any damn respect for kickers in the NFL. I heard Homer do a whole show yesterday about how kicking is too easy, and I just wanted to respond. They've just gotten better.
Yes.
Back in the day, the kickers just sucked, right? But now kickers are very, very good. And I thought of you the other night, Brad, because I was in this fantasy football league, still in it despite my avid protest. They just got rid of kickers. Apparently, we had a league vote, and I was the only person who voted, let's keep kickers.
Oh, it's shameful.
So we got rid of kickers. It was like probably, I was in an auction league, so I don't know what round it was or anything. And here I am searching for Justin Tucker because I'm getting my kicker, right?
Yes, sir.
And I can't find him. And I sent a text. I was like, hey, where are the kickers? And they were like, you voted. You were the only person who voted to keep them. So we got rid of kickers. And I was like, well, this is dumb.
That's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. And like, I brought this up yesterday on KBN. That I'd say, you know what? If I was the Green Bay Packers and I wanted my Super Bowl window open now, I would trade one of the 4 top receivers for Justin Tucker. I mean, you're talking about, we have talked about this, Tony, to where the average margin of victory in the NFL is 3 points, right? So that is a field goal.
Just one.
And the Super Bowl, I believe those kickers were, Butker was 4 for 4. Moody was 3 for 4. They each kicked from 50 plus. Each of those points were critical in a game that went into overtime.
I was going to say, that game went to OT.
Yes.
And Niners missed a field goal in that game. That's the ball game.
Exactly.
It's sometimes that simple.
Yep.
And so I did some research, which does not happen often, as we said earlier, like a B, right? So the Packers last year, they obviously missed a field goal in that playoff game to the Niners. I'm not saying that wins in the game or whatever. There's a lot of things there, but at least changes their strategy late in the game if they're playing with a lead, with a tie or with a lead, right? Like Jordan obviously doesn't throw that interception.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one game last year. That loss to Tommy DeVito that everyone talked about, Anders Carlson missed a kick that game. Green Bay lost that game by 2. Then I look at the Pittsburgh Steelers game. They lost that game as well. They lost that game by 4. There was a missed point after in that one from Anders Carlson. How much does it change your approach if you're trailing by 4 versus 3 with the ball late in the game?
Incredibly.
A ton, right?
A ton. And Tony, you pulled up this research. Let me give you a thing that was always talked about in our special teams meeting rooms. Do you know the play that is the highest likelihood afterward, the change of possession, that's the highest likelihood for the offense to go score? It's not an interception. It's not a fumble, not a long punt return. It's a missed field goal. If you have a missed field goal, that is the highest likelihood that the offense will then take the ball and go down and get points. It is such a momentum shift.
Okay.
You feel like you got bailed out on defense, and it is an injection of momentum and confidence into taking over. It feels like this is our opportunity. Doors open. So when you potentially have a kicker that misses field goals, it is not just points off the board, it's momentum swings. And you put the ball into the offense's hand, the opposing offense's hand, and it's the highest likelihood of any other drive, of any other change of possession to go get points.
Which makes a ton of sense because, one, you're probably getting it at the 40, which is basically
close to midfield.
If you kick it out of bounds, like that's the penalty there. So you don't have that far to go, which brings up my next point, to get points. And I always liken things back to basketball because it's the only thing that makes sense to me, is like if I miss a layup and you go down and hit a 3 the other way, they call it the 5-point swing. Mm-hmm. Like, so Anders Carlson misses a 47-yard field goal. Other team gets the ball at the 30. They go down and score a touchdown in a couple seconds. As you said, it's most likely. That's a 9 to 10 point swing.
It's a huge swing because you're almost mentally preparing that when the other team trots out for a field goal, you're already putting points on the board. If it's 7-7, and let's say the Packers are playing the Bears, and the Bears go out there and they hit a field goal, or they roll their field goal team out there, you're already putting on your head, okay, 10-7, we're about to get the kickoff. They miss a field goal, it feels like you have just won. It feels like you have gained points and you've gained momentum. So then if you go score a touchdown or whatever, it's that big point swing that you talked about.
Mason Crosby is one of my all-time Packers, right? We did a show on Wilde and Tausch years ago. The Mike McCarthy Packers Mount Rushmore. Brett Favre doesn't make that list. Mason Crosby does under Mike McCarthy because of the career he had when he was in town, right? When the Packers had Mike McCarthy kicking, or Mike McCarthy wasn't kicking, but the Packers had Mason Crosby kicking, you know what I did when they lined up 49 and in? Went and got more food, took a bathroom break. I was good. Extra points. I don't care.
Yeah.
Now I start sweating, and I get texts from John Anderson, who hosts with you guys from time to time, and he's never happy about the kicker situation. Yeah. It's bad.
Yeah, it is.
Also, with the new rules, if they kick it into the end zone, you get it at the 30. You essentially need 3 first downs, and you are in field goal range for a very good kicker. Butker, Tucker, a couple other guys in the league are going to hit.
And that's the thing. Like when Homer on the show talked yesterday about kicking's too easy, right? Mm-hmm. It just looks easy. Like these guys are so good, it looks easy. There's nothing easy about kicking. One of my favorite things that McAfee has done on game day is that he's just pulling random people out of the crowd and say try to hit a field goal. You can just see what a normal field goal looks like. Whenever you watch PGA level golf, you look at those guys and you watch Scotty Scheffler and you're just like, it's just too easy. It's just it's not even trying. But when we go out there and golf, I mean, I'm shanking it left and right. I'm missing 4-footers, so it just looks easy. These guys are so good
because they're so good about it. The thing that always gets me, especially as you get further out, you have to kick, obviously lower projection to just get through the line. Like how that it doesn't run into the big belly of Calais Campbell at 6'8" every single time. Because you played with him, right?
I did.
You saw him on a line. Like how does he not block every single one? But
he's a monster, and you know these guys are so good. They know how to time it up, and even you got the streamers coming off the edge. Basically, the end guy, they're just saying, if you can get a hand on him, cool. But if not, guys that can just wrap around the corner. So you're talking about not only lift on the ball going over the line, but it's got to be quick because those screamers coming off the edge, they will get it if you are a half a count too slow. So it is a finely tuned operation. And think about that. I mean, if you're trying to hit a ball that's 40 and in, you're hitting one kind of ball. If it's 55, you got to change the trajectory. You're probably hitting the ball a quarter inch lower, higher than you normally would. It's such a fine detail, and same thing with punting, but with kicking, it is so specific. It's so timed up. These guys are just so good. It looks easy, but they're so good, and the standard is raised to where I hope Carlson comes out and has a good year, but 80% isn't good enough anymore. 80% 10 years ago when I was playing, you're going to keep your job. You might get extended even. Nowadays, it's not good enough.
No, and I just think it's free points. The offense does their job. Let's say the offense goes out there and gets 40 yards. Now we're looking at they got to the 30. That's a 47-yard field goal. You need to hit that every single time. Especially in today's day and age, the possessions are so quick and the scoring is up. Anytime you can get points. Take them every single time. But then you got Carlson going out there just completely messing up everything that the offense built. You're not going to score a touchdown every time.
No,
Tom Brady did not score a touchdown 50% of the. I wonder what his stat were. But do you think it might have been 50% of the time he scored a touchdown?
Maybe like that 08 year.
Okay,
maybe like when they were really.
But just in one in one of the greatest seasons in NFL history.
But even then, I think on average you get probably 8 to 10 possessions a game.
Okay.
If you score 3 touchdowns in a game, just touchdowns, that's 21 points. And maybe a couple field goals. I mean, teams aren't scoring consistently into the high 20s, low 30s.
No, but
so you're maybe getting 3 touchdowns. That's 30%. And maybe you get field goal opportunities the other maybe like 2 or 3, and then you punt maybe 4.
Yeah.
So that's what it would.
But that's 27 points if you're 100%.
Correct.
You're going to win a lot of ball games scoring 27 points.
Absolutely. And it's an offensive league. It's all about points.
That's Brad Nortman. On Mr. Irrelevant here, I'm Tony Cartagena, subbing in for Alex Strouf. I have 2 more topics on today's rundown. Brad, you're more than welcome to stick around if you want. We can talk a little bit Brewers. I know you're a big Brewers guy, but you also have a big remote today. You want to tell people where to meet you?
Yeah, we're going to be at Tsunami Express at the Midtown Milwaukee location. That's on the corner of Fond du Lac Avenue and Capitol Drive. Brand new Tsunami Express. You can get a free car wash between now and September 1st. KBN, we're going to be out there. So come by, say hello. If you want to fill out your time capsule that we're doing,
it's right here.
Fill out your time capsule, drop it off. It's going to be in Ben Brust's backyard. So I would love to stick around and talk Brewers, but I got to go show prep and then
you got to do your thing.
Get to Tsunami Express. Thank you for having me on, Tony.
Thanks, absolutely, Brad. Any single time. We got a couple more minutes here for you on the Milwaukee Brewers. Wait, first I want to bring my man Hunter back, and I'm not sure if Hunter is a special teams kicking kind of guy, but Hunter, what did you think of, and did you agree with everything Brad and I had to say?
Yeah, from working with Brad, I appreciate the special teams portion of football a lot more with getting to talk to him, and yeah, you need that to be reliable. Like there's a reason why they call it the three facets of the game with offense, defense, and special teams. You can't have a third of your team not be reliable. If your offense isn't reliable, you're never going to do anything. If your defense isn't reliable, you'll never do anything in football. Like you have to be able to figure this out.
Working in this field, I have learned from working with Tausch as closely as I did and working with guys like Brad, I have learned that when I was younger and I was just like a huge Donald Driver fan, Jordy Nelson fan, right? It's all about the offensive line. It's all about the details when it comes to special teams. Like, that's where things matter. And getting to work with people, Derek, Tarek, and Madison, Joe Thomas, Mark Tauscher, working with guys like that, I've just learned so much about the actual things that make football go. And that's the details when it comes to special teams, and it's the offensive line and defensive line play on that side, on both sides of the ball. Like, that's where Super Bowls are won and lost. 100%.
Yeah.
And I think it's fascinating to learn that from people who did it at the highest levels. The times that I've subbed in for Homer on the Homer Hour and hosted with Brian Bulaga, I learned so much about football just in general and how it all starts up front. Like, it's incredible. I absolutely love learning the game from those guys. Tausch has the brightest football mind we're going to come across, right? Like, it's incredible the stuff that he is able to break down, and you really do learn the things that you kind of scoff at as a kid or don't pay attention to because it's special teams or whatever, really is the difference in your team winning 10 football games or 12 football games. And those two games are playoff spots. Those two games are, if you're hosting versus going on the road and having to go to San Francisco to lose for the 12th time in a row in the postseason. But speaking of games, after the break here, I want to talk about the Milwaukee Brewers. And I say that because I'm a scared fan. I'll tell you why in just a sec. But as we get to break, I got to do my best Alex Strouf impression here. So I got to stretch it out a little bit. Door County Distillery, a proud sponsor, proud partner of ESPN Madison, ESPN Wisconsin, and Mr. Irrelevant here. And I got to tell you about them. Locally produced, handcrafted, and award-winning spirits. That's Door County Distillery. Made locally in beautiful Door County. If you're headed to Door County, make sure to stop by for tours, tastings, exclusive product in Carlsville, or bring Door County to your next event. It's affordable. Like I said, they're local. They're delicious. Door County's Distillery, they got vodkas, brandies, rums, whiskeys. Let me repeat that for you. Door County Distillery, they got it all. Vodkas, brandies, rums, whiskeys. They're available wherever great liquor is sold. You tailgating? Door County Distillery. Having a fire? Door County Distillery. You're grilling out? Door County Distillery. Do it with Door County Distillery. Visit doorcountydistillery.com. Repeat it again with me. Vodkas, brandies, rums, and whiskeys, all available at Door County Distillery. We'll be back talking Brewers and wrap things up right after this.
Back in Carlsville at the legendary Door County Distillery with my buddy Rob from Door County Distillery, and we have a Door County Distillery exclusive in front of us right now, Rob. Cherries, bourbon, two of my favorite things. Put them together. You got Door County Distillery beautiful. Cherry bourbon. It's beautiful. We're just doing shots?
Yeah, we're just going to
celebrate
straight up. I mean, it is good for mixed drinks. You can put it in old fashions, Manhattans, but sometimes you just want to straight up take a little shot of it.
I won't complain about that. Like I said, two of my favorite things. Cherries, bourbon, Door County cherries, bourbon. I can't complain. Yeah. Cheers to you, buddy. Thanks a lot. Prost. Ooh, that's tasty. Oh, that's good.
Yep.
That's really smooth.
Get that cherry flavor. Yep. Not a whole lot of burn. Beautiful.
That's terrific. Door County Distillery exclusive, the Cherry Bourbon.
Check out their website with a huge list of unique cocktail recipes at DoorCountyDistillery.com. That's DoorCountyDistillery.com.
And we're back here on Mr. Relevant at ESPN Milwaukee, at ESPN Madison on YouTube. And I have to laugh a little bit because I just watched that commercial with Door County Distillery for the first time. And Strouf got so excited about taking that shot at cherry bourbon that he started slurring beforehand. He was so excited and so nervous that he before he even took the shot, he just got so excited. Either way, great partner of the show, as I've said. What's up, Hunter?
Yeah, so I was up there when we shot that, and that was the thing he was most excited about. And just to add on, too, for that bourbon, the cherry flavor on it, you know how sometimes things that have a cherry flavor, it kind of has that cough syrup taste? Like, that bourbon actually
I'm a big
tasted...
cherry guy, so I like this.
Yeah, it actually tastes like there's cherry in it. Like, it blew me away. I was like, oh, wow. Like, I actually feel like I was just, like, eating a cherry as I was drinking it. So, always wanted to add that in. Strouf usually just rolls right on. So, just wanted to drop that in.
No, I like that a lot. I have never been to Door County, but I'm trying to get the invite. It's been out there, and we just haven't been able to make it work from Packers running back A.J. Dillon. The mayor of Door County needs to get me up there on a trip. So I'll be sure to check that out. If I ever get up to Door County vacation, see all the cool stuff that Door County has to offer. Probably not going to happen, though, during the rest of the Brewers season. And I just got to tell everyone, I'm stressed out. This is I don't have a take here. I just have an opinion. I'm stressed out about the Milwaukee Brewers, and I'm going to tell you guys a small reason why. So if you pay attention, we're the home of the Brewers on 620 WTMJ, and Dom Catronio does all their stats, and he knows everything about the Milwaukee Brewers. I have a friend. His name's Nick, and let me tell you, if you think Dom knows baseball, I got to get these two in a room together because they just know all the baseball stuff. But Nick hit me with the stat this morning. We were talking about the Brewers and a little bit of nerves we have, even though it's still a 10-game lead and we're late in August. He said 2021, just looked it up. St. Louis Cardinals had a 1.3% chance to make the playoffs on August 8th of that year. You know what happened? Cardinals stormed back. Brewers didn't make the play. Like, there are just so many things with the Brewers that make me nervous, and it's because of the Cardinals. It's because of the Cubs. The Cardinals just don't go away ever. I swear to you, until the season is over, until the World Series champion has been crowned, I'm not convinced that the Cardinals aren't going to win the World Series. And it's just me as a Brewers fan. Like, I know it's a 10-game lead, but you blow a ninth-inning lead, and then you lose, and you only have 3 hits the following day. Man, it just worries me. I know it's irrational. I put in the show rundown today. People, or I think I put something like, Brewers are irrationally psychotic. It's me. I'm Brewers fans, because I just am. Like, the 10-game lead, it doesn't feel safe. The magic number, don't know what it is, don't care. Just need them to get there. And I say that because we were talking about how 1 to 2 games in the NFL season can be the difference between a 1 seed and a 4 seed. Same in the MLB right now, the way the playoffs work. You want that bye. You don't want to run into a hot team like the Arizona Diamondbacks. We've seen how that worked out before. You just don't want to run into that situation. So I'm nervous. Talk me off the ledge. I know the Brewers got a series in Oakland. I have a feeling they're not going to play very well in Oakland because they never play super well against really bad baseball teams, and that bothers me too. And I love the Brewers more than anything, and I just need them to not suck. I need them to go into the playoffs hot, win a series, make some noise, get the 1 seed, get the 2 seed, get the bye, do whatever you got to do. Just don't let it end the way it did last year with Christian Yelich just standing at the plate. Obviously, he won't be doing that this year, but you guys know what I mean. Like, let's take another step up. Let's get those 2018 vibes back and rolling. Hunter, what do you got in the crew?
I get it. Like, it was a frustrating game, especially that extra innings loss. But I feel like the issues in St. Louis were more the fact that, like, Devin Williams clearly didn't have command. Pat Murphy was really focusing more on the fact that the home plate umpire in that game had a wild strike zone the last, 2 innings in that one. And I think it was just everything kind of snowballed on them. Pat Murphy's focusing more on the strike zone than he is that Devin Williams doesn't have command. He's not pulling Devin Williams when he should have. He then gets thrown out off of a pretty rough call. And then it was just kind of all of that emotion then led to a hangover in than the next afternoon having to go into a 10-inning game. So I'm just trying to brush off St. Louis. Like, normally I'm a doomsday fan. Normally I'm freaking out. But unless they lose 2 out of 3 to Oakland, then I'm not concerned. Because, like, the Cardinals are still a solid team. Like, this happens. It's baseball. It's weird. So let's see what happens in Oakland. How do they bounce back now after a tough outing that I honestly, after game 1, was like, oh, they might be able to sweep the Cardinals too. So let's see what happens in Oakland.
Life comes at you fast because I had those same thoughts, especially. I'll tell you real quick because I know we're up against it here. Brewers are up 6-4 going to the bottom of the 9th. I had just been at the Dodgers game where Devin Williams goes, I don't know if it's the correct order, but he got Betts, he got Ohtani, and he got Freeman. Then the next day, he got 2 of those 3 out, and I was feeling Devin Williams. I was riding high on Devin Williams. And the day before against the Cardinals in the 3-2 win, Devin Williams goes strong, right? So I'm like, all right, D-Will is back. The Airbender's here to stay. It's 6-4. Brewers up, going to the bottom of the 9th. I'm like, we're good. I hopped in the shower, get out, look at my phone, 75 texts in this Brewers fan one, none of them with words appropriate for the radio. So, yeah, not a great ending of that game. But I'm going to take Hunter's advice. Unless they lose 2 or 3 to Oakland, we are still in good shape. And now for the final segment here on Mr. Relevant, Tony Cartagena subbing in for Alex Strouf, who might never get this chair back. I'm really comfortable here. I'm not like a good looking person, so the camera thing is still, I'm getting used to that. But like, I'm comfortable in Strouf's spot, so I'm going to be taking over this show. Official, unofficial breaking news here on ESPN Wisconsin's YouTube channels. I have not cleared this with anybody, but yeah, I'm going to be taking over for Alex Strouf. We'll get a new name for the show and everything too. But yeah, this spot looks good on me. This time slot's perfect, so I'll be doing that. That is what we learned today. Hunter, does that work for this segment? We learned that I'm just going to put myself in charge?
Yeah, if that's what you learned. I was just going to also drop in because we talked before the show. I'm a big college football fan, and I saw this from Pro Football Focus.
Soon.
Yeah, it starts this Saturday. Big Ten quarterback rankings. Tyler Van Dyke sitting at number 3. I learned that the Big Ten is garbage at the quarterback position. Dylan Gabriel will probably be a Heisman finalist, so I'm fine with him, number 1. Drew Aller is not good. Like, he's not a good quarterback.
I have heard... I'm going through this list. Big Ten quarterback rankings 1 through 18. Just real talk. I have heard of 3 of these people. I've heard of Tyler Van Dyke because I loosely follow the Badgers. I've heard of Cade McNamara, but has he always been at Iowa? Was he at Michigan?
No, he was at Michigan, transferred to Iowa, and now Iowa got in trouble and Kirk Ferentz is suspended for a game because of tampering with Cade in his transfer portal stuff.
Gotcha. But at least I've heard of him. And then Dylan Raiola, because I read his name on the bottom screen of ESPN the other day. But there's a football game in Ireland this weekend. That's what I learned today.
Yeah, they've been doing this for a few years. Yeah, they'll send 2 teams go over to Ireland. The Badgers are going to be going over in 2 years, I think it is. They're going to play Pitt.
Oh, that's going to be drunk.
Yeah.
They're taking Wisconsin to Ireland?
Yeah, I don't think Dublin's ready. Like, I don't think they fully understand what's going to be coming over there.
Slow down. I think Dublin, of all places in the world,
I don't know.
Germanfest or Oktoberfest in Dublin, Ireland, can handle a bunch of frat boys drinking natties. Like, I think they'll be okay, man.
Wisconsin's different, though. Wisconsin's built different. Yes, it is.
No,
it is.
I'm from here. I will put anyone under a table at any given point. But let me tell you, Dublin's not worried about me coming over there and drinking the well dry. Wisconsin's different in the U.S. It ain't different in Dublin, Ireland, like the birthplace of beer.
Okay, we'll check back in 2 years.
You think? Mark this audio.
I will.
You think Wisconsin's going to go out drink a bunch of Irish people in Ireland?
Yeah. Yep. I have faith in our people.
Oh, man. No wonder you're a good sports fan. You really root for the underdog in a lot of situations, don't you? You're a Cowboys fan.
I mean,
you always have irrational faith.
See, the thing is, I'm actually a doomsday Cowboys fan. Like, I went into that Packers playoff game saying that the Cowboys would lose. I was just like, this is going to happen. Crazy?
If Dak wasn't a Cowboy, that would be my guy. I love Dak Prescott.
I like Dak Prescott,
the person, but
he's, as a quarterback, he is so frustrating.
there are 20 teams that would sign him tomorrow if given the opportunity.
That's great because there's 20 teams that don't have just a mid quarterback that is just going to do the job.
Nah,
I've never seen him elevate that team. He's always had either.
He's better than made.
He's had Des Bryant, Amari Cooper, and CeeDee Lamb. He's had 3 awesome receivers his entire career. Like, he hasn't had to elevate guys and lead the team and push them into the playoffs. He's had awesome offensive weapons. That's my problem. That's what I'm worried about. That's why I say Jordan Love just needs to be a guy that's slightly better than that and push a team into the playoffs.
Or the team took a different approach and said, hey, investing $30 million into one awesome offensive weapon in a Dez or a CeeDee Lamb or the other guy you mentioned, Amari Cooper, like that you spread it around. You invest that $30-40 million into 4 or 5 different weapons. That's what the Packers are trying. Honestly, I feel like their approach on offense might be the wave of the future. If it works.
Yeah, as long
we'll
as
see if it works. But honestly, it's a smart approach. Next time when I host for this show on Monday, when I kick Strouf out of the studio, we'll talk about that in depth and my thoughts on how the Packers have put together the perfect B-level roster. They don't have a bunch of A's, but they also don't have a bunch of F's in the way that they have in years past. So we'll talk about that. One other crazy quick thing I learned today. Tom Brady is older than Kobe Bryant would have been today. I don't know why, but in my head, like Tom Brady and Kobe were nowhere near the same age. And Brady's older. I saw a video Brady dunked at Fanatics Fest, and they're like 47-year-old dunks. I was like, that's wild. Then I saw today Kobe would have been 46 today, R.I.P. So that's just wild to me. Almost as wild as a stat that Brian D told me, and I'll let you go with this. So I don't know if there's like some outro music here, Hunter, your show, but Sister Jean, still alive somehow, 105 years old. She was born 10 days after the Green Bay Packers were founded.
Whoa.
That doesn't make any sense.
Time's crazy, man.
Yeah, time is wild. I learned some stuff about time the other day that was super embarrassing about Albert Einstein that just blew my mind. I'm going to keep that mostly off the air, but let me tell you, I thought he was alive way before he was. Way before he was. So, time is weird. Anyways, that's Mr. Irrelevant on a Friday. Have a great weekend.